Hello and welcome to Diamonds and Duds. I am Ivan.
And I am Charles.
And today we have Independence Day Resurgence.
The sequel in 2016 that came out 20 years after the original came out.
Yes.
Earth's best and bravest must ward off an even more deadly alien invasion in this explosive sequel. Independence Day Resurgence. You have some famous people from the first time back. You have Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, Brent Spiner, Vivica A. Fox. You have Judd Hirsch for some fucking reason.
I didn't understand the Judd Hirsch thing at all.
You had Jesse Usher playing the Will Smith's stepson from the first one, and you also have the character, not the same performer, but you have the character of Bill Pullman's daughter in the first one is now grown up, and also you have the worst fucking Hemsworth that there is, Liam Hemsworth. There's three. I've never seen the third one. Is also an actor. I haven't seen anything he's in, but by default he's better than Liam.
Yes, and this got a 28% on Rotten Tomatoes, 30% by the fans.
Yeah. Huh.
It was question before we get into this. Was there a reason Will Smith didn't do it?
Yeah, one was his price tag.
Oh,
okay. They didn't want to meet his price tag. There was also another movie that he was debating. He opted to do a different movie. I forget what it was. It's a known one. But he opted to do it instead of this, and I forget what it was, but it was the right movie. The guy who plays Will Smith's son. We'll get into it. I'm not really sure he had a point in the movie, but the actor, he's a cast member on The Boys. On the show The Boys, he's the speedster, A-Train.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but other than that, a lot of characters that are back. There's a couple of them that I thought was pretty. I had
to look up a lot of this shit. Now, what I probably should have, if I had to do this over again, I probably would have watched the OG Independence Day first.
Yeah.
Just to brief myself on it, because I didn't realize how much it was going to relate to the prior one, and just sort of assumed you remembered stuff. So I went back and watched. I had IMDb open a lot as I went, because obviously I knew going into this that Will Smith wasn't in it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to because I didn't remember what happened to President Whitmore's. I didn't remember if President Whitmore had a kid or not.
Yeah, he had a little girl.
Who's Bill Pullman? I didn't remember what happened to his wife. I didn't remember. I obviously remember we won. But I also remember, for people who weren't alive at the time, let's talk about this for a second, Charles. It was the cultural. People don't realize how big of a cultural moment Independence Day was. Because I was the year it came out. The reason I remember roughly the year it came out is I would have been about 17.
You were about to start your senior year.
Yes.
It was the summer before your senior year.
Because I was working at Abco Foods here locally.
Yeah.
The reason I remember, because it was a huge thing. Because it was before it was such a huge. Because I remember also when the VHS came out.
Yeah.
How big of a thing it was.
Yeah.
That's what I also remember. Because that would have been everybody who's. That would have been before the days of everybody having 1,000 VHSs in your house. That it was 5 years probably before DVDs and all that
they
stuff.
Started, yeah.
And even then, if they were around, the DVDs probably cost $40 a pop. Kind of thing. And so the VHS of the original Independent, it was a huge cultural moment. You had to get, because it was also the days before a theater would put one movie in it for 15 screens and shit, which is, of course, is gone now also because people don't go to theaters.
Yeah.
But at the time, since they wouldn't put Independence Day in, 8 of your 10 screens, it was in probably 2. So you had to buy your tickets way in advance to make sure you got to see it.
And also the trailer. The original teaser trailer was a game changer in movies, and that it's very, very basic. Go watch the trailer. Basically, it says on July. You don't see any characters. It just says on July 2nd they came. You don't see the ships. You just see over a bunch of monuments, basically as shadows. On July 3rd they attacked, and then they showed the ship basically blowing. The first thing you see is the White House being blown up. You see like whole cities being blown up at one time. A couple quick, maybe 15, 20 seconds, and then it says on July 4th is the day we fight back, and that's the end of the trailer. And that was like, that just got everybody because so psyched up.
Because obviously Will Smith before this had been on The Fresh Prince, but he wasn't considered someone who could carry a movie.
Yes, agreed.
He was not, because this would have been before. He probably already had signed on to do Men in Black, I assume.
Men in Black had come out.
Men in Black had come out?
No. Bad Boy, actually, no. Men in Black might have been Men in Black was the following year, I think.
Yeah.
Men in Black was the following year.
Yeah, you're right. Bad Boys had come out.
The
first Bad Boys wasn't really a hit.
It wasn't that kind of hit.
It should have been a hit, but it wasn't.
It did decent. It was reviewed well, but it was more of a cult thing. It wasn't until Bad Boys 2 that was the big hit. Bad Boys 1 had not been a big hit. Bad Boys 1 was enough. Like, it didn't give a knock against Will Smith. It gave him another trip to the plate, which was Independence Day.
Which he hit a grand slam.
Yeah,
because this coming out was like. Because also Bill Pullman it's not like Bill Pullman was making a bunch of action movies either, and so I remember that being a big thing at the time. Was if this is good, why are they put it? Why isn't Tom Cruise in this? Why isn't? And so I think part of what it was, and Roland Emmerich has kind of obviously gone downhill. So, but like they cast the people they knew they needed to cast, and part of me always kind of thought this too is that Charles, why is it that the Marvel movies succeeded so well, like actor-wise? Because they chose actors they knew were going to be superstars, but they weren't superstars yet.
Yes.
We don't have to pay them whatever the equivalent to $50 million a picture that would be today. They didn't have to give Bill Pullman that. They didn't have to give Will Smith that. They didn't have to give Jeff Goldblum that. But they knew that by them being in this was going to make them superstars.
Yeah.
And so I think that helped them immensely, too, because this would have had a ginormous budget for the time.
Yeah, and so our returning actors are Jeff Goldblum, Judd Hirsch, Bill Pullman, Brent Spiner, Vivica A. Fox. There is one more small returning actor, but we'll get to it in a bit. That's a cameo. Basically, Will Smith's kid is military. Pullman's kid works with the White House. They're both pilots.
And I didn't have a problem with it, because they make a point really early on of making sure that as a viewer you know that they're the kids.
Yes, they do that. I will say throughout this movie, I don't feel that there's a reason for Will Smith's kid to be in it.
No,
other than a cliched. The very cliched and overdone. The fight between the two flyboys, soldiers that gets resolved at the end. I don't see any other reason for him to be in
I think the point of that was that Will Smith's kid was a part of the character was in the first one as an important piece, and I think their thought was, we need to have that character be in this.
Yeah.
But you know what the character should have been? Is that character should have been Liam Hemsworth's character. Is there any
merge them into one.
Merge them into one and just have somebody, because we'll get to how he felt at the end, and I don't quite know how I feel about this movie, because I know where I rated it, but there's so many parts of this movie that could have been so good. Was my thought. But there was a lot of really cheesy shit they don't explain. Don't get me wrong. This is by no means is going to be a hit.
Yeah. How I felt about, I think that an Independence Day 2 could have been great. And Independence. Now, I will say, I very much, and I do not mean this in a hyperbolic way, the way I envision Roland Emmerich in this movie is think back to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Roland Emmerich was Gus Van Sant, Good Will Hunting 2, just counting money. Because this, I argue this is not a sequel. I don't agree. This is a remake. Now, there's some things that are very, very good. The only actor I have issues with is Liam Hemsworth, and that's because his existence is a waste as an actor, not as a human necessarily. As an actor, is a waste of space. I'd rather watch a rock.
Oh, and you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That leads perfectly, Charles, because one of the things we forgot to talk about was how I go into the critic stuff and the critics' reviews.
Yeah.
I found Richard Roper's opinion, because Richard Roper did a thing.
Yeah.
And Richard Roper, of course, didn't like this whatsoever. And his thing was, well, that was unnecessary.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because let's beat people. First off, again, like I said, Will Smith's kid's character is kind of pointless in this movie. Doesn't really have a role. But Liam Hemsworth, he's Will Smith. He's Will Smith.
Yeah,
he's Will Smith's character. He's the he's the cocky fuck up fly boy. A little bit more fuck up than Will Smith was.
It felt like, let's say about half the junk they cut out of this. Yeah. You know what I mean? But still make it be a 2-hour movie. I think it's a good movie then. Yeah. If you cut half of the junk they tried to force into this shit, to have people remember it from the first Independence Day, and whether it was Roland Emmerich or some studio executive going, hey, I remember that as a kid, we need to put this in here now. Yeah. Or we need to put a psychologist in here for some reason and spend a bunch of time on that. Which I didn't have a problem with that character, but I had a problem with they started throwing so much shit into this movie and then not explaining anything.
So he's Will Smith, the fuck up flyboy, who also has his comic relief flyboy friend, aka Harry Connick Jr. from the first one.
Oh,
so
I forgot about it.
In the first one, Will Smith and Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, I forgot about it.
In this one, they have, the douchebag who doesn't die, happy, the comic relief. So again, very much like it. We also see, Jeff Goldblum's now with the UN scientist. I understand where Jeff Goldblum's character is.
One of the things I thought was cool along this line is they make a point of saying that it's not. They say really early on it's been 20 years.
Yep.
But there's technology has advanced in current society, guys. It'd be 2075, which I think makes sense considering all the technology that got left behind. But they also made a point of saying there's been no conflict since all this stuff happened.
Apparently, they've been keeping at Area 51 catatonic aliens for 20 years. I don't understand why they've been keeping those aliens alive and not killing. We also know that some of the aliens survived in Africa and there was a ground war at some point. I'm just going to throw this out there. There's a few different things a sequel could have been. Okay? Option number 1 is the fucking ground war. Okay? Option number
that would have been cool as shit.
Yeah. That would there is nothing in this story, not one small piece that I think deserved to be in it. For the most part. And I'm not talking about and I mean in terms of story beats.
Yeah,
Jeff Goldblum being in this is a great thing. But again, I feel this is a complete remake of the first one.
Because anything that's not a remake, they just gloss over real quick because they need to get to more remake shit. Is what kept happening.
Ground war in Africa, great. There's another idea that I saw on Reddit that would have been better as well that I'll talk about at the end.
Because the ground war in Africa, for me, was some of the best parts of that movie. But, they just vanished from it because they're hey, guys, we just need to fast forward here. Because,
basically, we know that only one ship landed. It was just the one. So it was only ground war in Africa.
Only because your brother here has a shitty memory. That wasn't in the original Independence Day, right?
No. They all exploded and then crashed. We saw all these ships crash in the ground.
Okay.
We never saw like.
Which I had no problem with the fact that there's an unexplained because
no.
I had no problem with an unexplained. I just couldn't remember.
There being survivors does not bother me, whatever. And so like there's like symbols that they really don't get into these symbols very much. But like there's also this character of this African warlord who just took over from his father. Basically, they've been fighting these aliens.
His father wasn't in the first one.
No. They made a point like his father was like a cliched African warlord.
No, yeah, because I just remember because part of me what they should have done is and I'm trying to interrupt.
No, you're good.
What they should have done was have this guy represent the son of just some because at the very beginning of the first Independence Day, as stuff was blowing, as different places were blowing up, they should have had this guy be the son of one of those things they showed quickly in the first, and that would have been a cool thing. That would have been a cool thing because there's numerous parts of the first one also where they kind of have people help them and stuff like just have them people and. But also, it was one of the interesting parts they added to this. But anytime they added an interesting part, they cut it short in order to throw more cliched crap in there.
Yep. Hemsworth, and by the way, Chris Hemsworth, one of the big things he's known for is, I know you haven't seen the films, but he was... Liam, sorry. Chris is the good one. Chris is the Thor. Liam Hemsworth was in Hunger Games. He played the character of Gale. He could not act his way out of a paper bag in the Hunger Games. Hunger Games, especially the second one. This second one, when you realize it's not just about this more political aspect. But he's not good at that. He's not good at this. But Hemsworth and Will Smith Jr. are not friends. That's because Hemsworth fucked up and almost fucking killed. Like Will Smith Jr. is the right side of this. There's no
Liam Hemsworth's character shouldn't have passed basic training.
Yeah, he shouldn't be he shouldn't have because he almost killed.
If anybody hasn't seen this movie, it'd be like if you've seen Top Gun Maverick, okay, and that little part where they're zipping through the ravine, the canyon kind of thing. It'd be like if Tom Cruise decided he wanted to pass somebody.
Yeah.
During that.
Yeah,
and it's basically is what he did.
Yes,
and he's like, "Hey, I almost killed you."
Yeah, and because he hit the plane, he hit the fighter. The fighter flew into a canyon wall, straight into the canyon wall, and was barely ejected. So, we see Brent Spiner's character. Apparently, he didn't die in the first one. He's been in a coma, though, for 20 years. I always love seeing Brent Spiner, Data from Star Trek. I have a really big issue with one aspect of, him, but, I mean, it's, the list of my issues with the movie. Question, because they're going back and forth, because we're starting to see his, something's coming, something's happening. We see the different, warnings. But I started with... So this ground war in Africa, they make it kind of clear that they didn't get any help.
No.
From the rest of the world with this ground war.
They glossed over that because one of the key points, and they end up referencing this later because I think the psychologist uses the warlord later to decipher some shit they needed to decipher. But they made a point of saying that the Africa ones. They had to start hunting them because they were on their own, and in order to hunt them, they had to figure out their language.
Yeah.
Which is something no one else in the world did. So the people, they should have grabbed all the people that did that in Africa, and they fucking brought them all over to Area 51, because those people were the smartest people on the planet, and you needed them for this.
Yes.
But no, they probably just died when everything else happened.
Yeah. And by the way, they only got alerted because there was a distress call that was sent out. The big ship kind of comes through a wormhole, and there's another smaller ship coming. We see Bill Pullman. Okay, and I have a major, major issue here. This is not what I love. The fact that Bill Pullman was in this. I love the way that Bill Pullman Bill Pullman's role finishes. I do. The issue, they make it very, very clear that something is wrong with Bill Pullman. Some kind of thing related to the aliens. He knows they're coming back, but they're very, 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 very It's not, but it's not even dementia or Alzheimer's. But like it could be. But like he has, they make it clear there's some connections to the aliens, but they never explain that in any kind of way.
No, because he has the connection to it. Des and Data have the connection to it.
Oh, more so, but
because also the Warlord guy has the connection.
Well, Warlord, he knows the language.
No, he knows the language, but remember, when Data and Pullman's brain starts hurting, his hurts too.
Yes, that's right, it does.
His hurt.
Yes,
but they never... I was sort of assuming... I'm like, okay, there's something here that in 96 or 98, whatever the fuck it was, that they did something to certain people and, like, they're turning them on, or whatever the hell it was. But, like, they thought that was... But, like, so many things in this movie, they just sort of turned it off.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, fuck, we're out of time, guys.
Yeah. And so, and as the, thing Brent Spiner wakes up. So, I like Brent Spiner's role in this. I don't really have any... I like him in the fact that he's unnecessary, but he just leans into the same way he was in a small part in the first one. Just wacky, eccentric, whatever.
Yeah.
However, he's been in a coma for 20 years. If he woke up, fine. Yeah, he wakes up with the help of the aliens. That's fine. There's no way he can ever put any kind of weight on his feet, or probably ever again. He can't walk normally that same day.
No.
His muscles, there are no longer muscles in his legs. They don't exist.
No, you're right, Charles. And this goes to a number of things like this we see as it's almost at the point of a trope in these bad sci-fi movies. You know what they needed, Charles? You know what they needed? That guy who was there, who I can't remember if he was in the first one or not, the Data's friend who's watching over him for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah,
they need to have him reference this. Just go, oh God, I can't. You shouldn't be able to walk.
Yeah, there you go.
Fixed. And they needed one line of dialogue to say you shouldn't be able to, and they can just have it relate to that thing in his head. It makes sense in a sci-fi movie. Because there's lots of weird, stupid shit in this.
Yep. Yeah, and so I don't really get that. So it's kind of ridiculous. And then also we get Judd Hirsch, played in the first one, Jeff Goldblum's dad. He actually has a way bigger role than I would have expected. First of all, he probably should have been kept out. But at the most, maybe the smallest cameo.
Because nothing he's saying nothing he does is important.
Yeah, it's completely disjointed.
I have a question, and part of me, when I was watching, initially I was like, "Oh, am I just dumb?" Because his first part is that he's showing that he has a book he does the book to the
nursing home. Yeah.
Nursing home. And then when later on we'll get to this point in a little bit, but like at a certain point when they start blowing shit up, he's suddenly on his boat.
Yeah.
But how did he get to his boat?
Yeah, I guess like maybe the nursing home was on a place like I think he's just on a tour. I don't think he actually lives in the nursing home.
No, I know, but
yeah.
But like it took me. I had to look up if it was I had to rewind to see if it was the same character.
Yeah,
and I'm like, is there two guys? And part of me is an unreasonable expectation by me for these movies to make sense. Yeah. But that made so little sense.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, we also though apart with during this isn't Liam Hemsworth his buddy and are they already on the moon?
Yeah, they're already.
Because I have a question.
Yeah,
because there's the Asian lady who's by far the best fucking pilot.
Yeah,
she should have been leading everything.
Yeah,
but like her dad, who was the head of the moon base, was he in the first one? Okay,
no,
because they made
the character's not here.
Okay, they made it seem like I should know who he. Yeah, because I know who the actor is. Yeah, because the actor is like a famous Asian actor, and so I'm like, oh, am I supposed to know him from? I couldn't find it, so I assumed he was. But that was the thing that threw me. Is they made a point. I think they were just trying to honor that guy because he's a cool actor and all. But I was like, am I supposed to know? And they just do this over and over, and this what made Ivan frustrated watching this.
Yeah.
It's because there was a decent sequel somewhere underneath here if they did it the right way, and they just didn't.
And it should have a decent sequel should have only had maybe Goldblum, maybe one other person. Period. No other connections to the first. No, none.
The only way you relate it to the first one is obviously a better script, but you don't. If you're relating it to the first one, you don't do it without Will Smith. If you're doing it with Will Smith, it's okay to relate it to the first one pretty good. But if you don't have Will Smith, you bring back Jeff Goldblum because this would have been roughly 2026. So he was kind of had a resurgence right around this. So it's perfectly fine. And if you need to add, a top tier young actor like a Liam Hemsworth or somebody to it to make sure it can get a summary slot. That's fine. But there was no reason to have this relate so much to the first one.
Yeah. This new ship's coming, and the new ship is 3,000 miles in diameter, which is something I don't think they fully thought through. That is my understanding is that's the size of the United States, especially with what they show that it can do, but which they only showed once, and kind of I have questions. But yeah, it's like one ship's the size of the United States.
I think my guess is that it was a studio executive going, guys, we need bigger ships.
Yeah.
The ships have to be bigger than the first. Ships were big in the first movie. We need them to be bigger.
Yeah, and so we have right before shit goes down. There's kind of like an event kind of honoring the memorial of they trot out Bill Pullman, and here's where we get our other legacy character. A lot of people don't realize, and that is the final screen appearance of Robert Loggia. He in the original movie he played a military general. You will recognize him mentally, visually. Necessary Roughness, the defensive coordinator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he was in Independence Day. He was a general, one of the general staff of the president, and he had a big role in Independence Day, military wise. In the real life, he died a few months later. They like the characters, just there, kind of on us, characters there, and it was a few months. He doesn't say anything. He's only on screen for a moment or two, and then the actor died a couple months later.
Now, is this the part where Bill Pullman kind of takes the mic and scares everybody?
Yeah, takes the mic and
Because I also had a question about how he got there, how he got past security, and how he got to the mic.
Well, I think he was there to speak.
No.
Oh wait, no.
No, he wasn't.
Huh?
He escaped from the mental hospital that he was at.
Yeah.
And somehow
was it a mental hospital?
It was like he was under like some sort of guard or something. Yeah. I assumed it was something where they were taking mental hospital is probably too strong of a word.
Yeah.
I was more thinking he was in some place where they could take care of him because they knew that he needed special care.
Yeah.
Kind of. Not that. And so I was like, how the fuck did he get here? Everybody's looking for him.
Yeah.
They just sort of let him walk up and take, and they sort of let him walk up, and which is probably good because this president's a fucking dipshit.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one thing we missed was, basically, in this lead up, there's a smaller ship that comes. Jeff Goldblum's like, maybe we shouldn't blow this. I don't think it's them, and so I think it's somebody else. And they blow it out of the damn sky, and we find out, oh no, these guys were actually coming to help us.
They were coming to help us and give us a bunch of shit to win.
Yeah,
it's basically what they were doing.
And so, the way this movie decides to do things, okay, we're going to do things. In the first movie, we started basically what we started doing at this point. We showed a whole bunch of people, like basically the world getting fucked up by these aliens, and then everybody's going to head and congregate basically to the base of Area 51, and Last Stand and whatnot's going to happen. What they decided to do different in this is they decided, we're going to show the aliens fucking everything up, and then we're going to have everybody gravitate to Area 51 and congregate at Area 51 for our last stand. And the way they and I like the effects in this movie are great.
Oh no, that's the one thing I wrote is that the effects and the fighting shit I thought was good.
Yeah. Basically, what happens this time? They're doing it differently. This time is basically they suck up all the land and stuff, and then just eventually just let it go. They let it and just drops everything. My question here is: was it? This is a 3,000 mile in diameter ship, 3,000 miles. Is it a section of the ships that's doing it, or did everything in that entire 3,000?
I might have an answer for this, but it's also possible that your brother's not remembering something right, because there's a part when they come down, but then there's a ship that pops out of the ship.
That's later.
Is that later?
That's
okay,
later.
Okay.
That's Queenie later on.
No, before Queenie, there's a mothership like there's a giant ship, but then before the Queen comes out, there's like a ship of a ship that comes out.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
But I also might just be I might be thinking of when they were trying to blow up the Earth's core or something.
Yeah, because that's happening.
Because they don't explain it for it. Because
they only do if they're going to do the Earth's core thing. Why are they bothering with the up down? They only should do that cool effect, the up down once. But
like there are little parts of this movie I thought were fun, like the what do you call it? I think they're supposed to be pirates, but then like the studio executive said, "Yeah, don't do that." And so there's like a bunch of boats in the ocean. There's one boat in the ocean, and they're basically getting drunk because they know the world's ending.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, they're asking us to to monitor them blowing up the crust." And they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it for $100 million." And they're like, "Yeah." They said yes. And so I got a little chuckle out of it. And so. And part of the reason why I got so frustrated at this movie was that little moments like that were fun. You know what I mean? Like, if they had focused on little moments like that, if they had focused on stuff like the ground war stuff, and had cut out half of the shit of this movie, and focus on stuff like the Warlord and the ground war stuff that they had to do.
Yeah,
it was interesting. Like but also, there were unintentional funny moments in this, too. I don't think they meant for this part to be funny, Charles.
Yeah.
But there's a part where I don't have no idea what the fuck his name is. Whatever the White House guy with glasses is that's following Jeff. He's meant to be the new Jeff Goldblum, but he's not. But he asked the Warlord guy from... the Warlord, he has like tattoos of like hash marks, basically.
Yeah.
Tattoos of hash marks. He's like, "Well, how'd you get those?" He's like, "I had to." He's like, "Is that from killing people?"
Yeah.
And they didn't fix, Charles, how the guy said it originally.
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, you kill people from behind."
Yeah.
And he never said aliens.
Oh, really?
And so I'm like, wait, because. Or they did it in like two parts, because I was paying, because he was the first like half of the movie. That Warlord was by far my favorite character, and the first time, all I remember is the first time he talks about the tattoos.
Yeah,
it's meant to be like you think it's like actual people, and they don't correct you until way later in the movie.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, there's like a lot of those, and he says he kills people from behind, and then I realized it was aliens when he killed somebody from behind later.
And so they decide like, see, in the first movie, they mustered all the military and armed forces, and they attacked the ships, and it was utterly worthless, and they lost like 90% of all. They lost around 93% of all of their forces in one go. What they decided to do different in this when writing this movie.
What was it?
They decided they're going to send all of the Navy forces to attack the alien ship, and it fails miserably, and they lose 93% of the Earth's force, United States or whatever's forces. So we'll get totally different, and that's basically Smith Jr. Basically, our 4 pilots that we're seeing. Why we need to have 4, but okay. Our 4 pilots that we're seeing spoiler, none of them are going to die. They end up on the alien ship, and so they're going, which has an ecosystem as well, which is I'll say that's kind of cool.
That was kind of cool. The part that I had an issue with was that, did you catch that, like, there was, like, 15 pilots that survived?
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know what happened to the rest of them. But
yeah, I know, right?
Oh, we're going to go get you guys ships. What about us?
Yeah. And so, it's, and so... At this point, middle of the movie, we get some mid-movie cast additions, which are really fucking jarring, because we're occasionally following Judd Hirsch's road trip, where he meets, this family of siblings. We start, like, it feels like we're supposed to know them already, and they come across Judd Hirsch.
I was like, okay, do I know these people from? It's obvious that their parents or something happened that they just sort of cut out.
Yeah, they died.
But they're like, good God, they're in this way too much to just cut them out completely.
Yeah.
Is based.
Yeah. You know how much, if you're going to include Judd Hirsch in this movie, do you know how big his role should have been?
How
big as Vivica A. Fox. Vivica A. Fox was in for 2 brief scenes. One was, you show clear that she's a doctor now. She's undergone, her journey must have been, because in the first movie she wasn't going to school. She must, probably in the aftermath of that, because in the first movie she's a stripper, but she's all, but they basically like, no, I make a lot, I make good money, and I'm pretty, I'm able to provide for my kids. But so at some point, probably in the aftermath of, everything, that makes it. But then she dies.
Yeah.
So like, okay, that I get, she did. That's a fine extended cameo there. Judd Hirsch, if you were going to include him, should not have been anything more than. And if you did not want to kill him, just don't have him in the movie.
And what I also think should, like, if you're gonna go to the level of duplicating the first one so much, you know what also should have happened, Charles?
Yeah.
All those pilots that went in, they all die.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, you don't see them past that explosion. Like, the explosion that doesn't work, they die and, like, they're just dead. And that would have been an interesting, an interesting take. But they couldn't do that because the executives were like, well, what if we need to do an ID 422?
Yep. And so basically they find in the down ship that they blew up, computerized rollerball that's from another alien.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, another alien race like, hey, we're here we came because we detected the signal and we're going to help you by bringing as many of you, with us, with me, to say, but our ship's destroyed, so fuck. So basically, its existence kind of for the rest of this movie, and again, I like the idea. It's a beacon kind of thing, used to draw the queen because they know that there's a queenie. That they have to basically, all right, if we kill the queen, the ship's going to go back, and and everything will be great. And so they're going to draw the queen here, and use cold fusion bombs, and the thing that they need, someone needs to be a sacrifice in the ship, and we all know who it's going to be.
Yeah,
it's going to be Bill Pullman.
Now, what I thought should have happened, because I thought a good thing to throw the audience should have been that it was Pullman's daughter, but not for the Pullman-her relationship, but because everybody assumed it was going to be Liam Hemsworth that died because of his sentence he said of like, hey, I guess I'm fine, or whatever it is you say in sci-fi movies. Because I even wrote at that part, hey, Liam Hemsworth is fucked. But I thought, I'm like, oh, it'd be an interesting thing if she ends up doing that and then she ends up dying. That would be it. And stupid me thought they were going to be interesting. And it's like, no,
And so one thing that really gets me here. So they're about, getting ready to, basically the Queen's coming close. Everyone's going to, fighting the ship, kind of, and fighting the Queen. Basically, they're drawing through a fake signal of the, rollerball. And Bill Pullman's got a few cold fusion bombs going to fly up in it. And so, you know what it's time for in this movie?
What's that? What
is the single most memorable part of the original Independence Day?
Oh, Up Yours?
No. Bill Pullman's speech.
Oh.
And so there's even a speech, but Okay, I have nothing against William Fichtner, but at that moment he was not the person that's supposed to give that speech. You're supposed to get another Bill Pullman speech. It's considered one of the greatest speeches in the history of movies.
Yeah, and so I thought, and they even tried to play a red herring, I think, was with the Pullman speech, and they tried to have the president, the female president, give one earlier before they blow that place up. But and I don't blame William, because William Fichtner, if for my thought, was perfectly fine in this.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's just the speech they gave him was just so bland.
It was. And so, in the original movie, spoilers for the end, we had, to save the day, we had a character a little bit off his rocker, but a pilot. He had a plane.
Oh, yeah.
He had a plane.
That's who I was forgetting about.
Randy Quaid, yeah. He had a plane with bombs on it. How did he win the day in the original? He flew up the middle, right in the center of the ship, went into it, and blew up the ship. So again, they're thinking, all right, how they took another pilot, a bunch of bombs on the ship. Bill Pullman's a little bit off in this movie, but they never explain it. But okay, a little bit off, and yet we're gonna fly him right up the middle of the ship, and then blow the ship up again. And that's what they did. Now that's not the end of the movie. Queenie comes out, and
they're like, hey guys, I know that was a perfectly probably where the movie should have ended, but we still have $150 million to blow.
Yeah. So, there's this, fight because, the aliens are also, they realize Rollerball's there. If Rollerball dies, then we're screwed. I don't really understand that, but whatever. And so, then that's where, the pilots with who had alien ships come back, and they
didn't explain that well, because they weren't going to, because the thing is that the aliens weren't going to destroy the rollerball. They wanted to take the rollerball. Yeah. Because the rollerball has a hidden planet where a bunch of other Earth-type civilizations are hiding. Yeah. And they want to know where that is. That is why they wanted the rollerball.
Yeah.
So another good, twist thing would have been, okay, we'll sacrifice ourselves to save the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
That also would have been, but then you can't do an ID 423.
Yeah, 423.
but it's this is why it annoyed me, because there were so many things that they could have done to be interesting.
Yeah, and they're also racing against the clock because the thing's gonna reach the core soon.
45 minutes.
They said at one point, and at one point it says you have 6 minutes left.
And then
there was a lot more than 6. I looked at the time as I was watching. There was a lot more than 6 minutes of movie time before that's out. Before that's solved.
And so they even try and trick you, because at a certain point they're like, hey, there's only 2 left, guys. But then you're like, yeah, but wasn't that 20 minutes ago?
Yeah. One part of this that I just again, this is my bias because I love Brent Spiner. There's one point he gets an alien gun, he blows away 5 aliens or something. That was funny.
That was funny, and I thought because the warlord part there, I thought was funny as well, was good, fine as well. But also that annoyed me more than anything because it brought up again. There's parts of this they should have focused on.
Yeah, and so, they win the day again in the desert, basically desert of, Nevada. And, let's see. And then ends with Spiner revealing to us what the movie fucking should have been, at least in part, at the end, setting up the third movie that's never going to happen. This killed the franchise forever. Yeah. Is basically the rollerboat. They want to advance our technology a whole bunch. Interstellar travel. We're going to take the fight to them, and that's when a lot of people are talking about it. That was a movie. Is early on. You have some small part of the movie take place on Earth, but then the bulk of the movie takes it out of.
No,
that should have been. That should have been. Yes. That could have also, in addition to the groundwork.
Because I think the only way, because the way that would have been perfect is not even in theaters in today's society.
Yeah.
What would have been perfect is if some place like HBO or Apple TV or something owned it, Charles. And then what you do is you have like a little 4-episode miniseries showing the first part, and then the move leading to the movie of us taking it to them. But like you said, this series is dead forever unless they completely restart.
Yeah.
But that first movie is such a cultural phenomenon, I don't think you can.
I don't think so. And so, all right, let's see whether that's a diamond or a dud. So our scale, we have the diamond scale. It's a legitimate good movie, 1 to 5. The 1's like, all right, it's good, but good flick, but I'm not going to revisit it. 5 being, all right, it's one of the best movies of your best movies I've ever seen. Dud, it's a bad movie, but again, within that, there are levels. 0, 1, it's just irredeemable. 4, 5, it's bad, but God, it's fun to watch. It's a guilty pleasure. Where do you?
Where are you at?
I'm a dud. And I'm a dud too. It's repetitive, uninspired. This is a dull movie. I just found yes, there's a lot of action, but it's just because it's a complete repetitive rehash of the first one. It's just boring. It's boring to me.
No, and I'm gonna stick with what I had. I'll be honest that you talked me into not liking my rating anymore. Yeah. Of course, I had it as a dud.
Yeah.
It was just,
but
I had it as a dud 4.5.
Okay,
because as I'm watching it, I was enjoying a lot of the throwbacks to the original, but at the same and referencing it, but it was annoying the shit out of the fact because what I try and do in these things is put myself in other because let's say you hadn't seen that first one, this movie wouldn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, utterly lost.
Because so I have it as a 4.5 because I think as far as horrible disaster movies, kind of it's a disaster, but it's one I could see myself rewatching. I just thought of this in my head, Charles. Do you think those kids are supposed to be Randy Quaid's nothing?
No. There's no connection. Okay. They're just random kids.
Not his kid, but his grandkids or something.
No, I think they're just random kids whose parents had died in the died in the thing. Okay. So next time, what are we going to be doing next time, Evan?
We are going to try something new.
Okay.
We're going to do One Piece, which everybody is on Netflix. We're going to try something different since they have both the OG cartoon as well as they've done a live action thing. We're going to do the first 2 episodes of both and kind of review them, but then also kind of review them compared to each other.
Oh, nice.
I think that's an interesting idea.
I agree. Tune in for that one. Follow us on all the things, the devices.
Yep. Thank you, and we will see you in the next one.
Adios.
Bye.